What if you were the last man in the universe? They say the stars died before the silence began, but I remember the moment sound disappeared more clearly than anything. Not because it was loud, but because it felt like the universe itself inhaled and refused to exhale again. I awoke suspended, drifting among the debris of a shattered memory, my body encased in a high-tech survival suit clinging to the last breath of time. I didn't remember my name at first, only the faint whisper of something once familiar, like a dream I had too many times to trust. Around me, space wasn't space. It was bruised, blackened, cracked like glass from the inside. A black hole pulsed in the distance, ancient and patient, its tendrils of distortion swallowing what was left of dead suns and broken satellites. My helmet's HUD flickered with warnings in languages I didn't recognize, glowing fragments of ghost code looping endlessly. I wasn't floating. I was being pulled, not by gravity, but by purpose. And yet, no mission log remained, no coordinates, no command, just me and the silence. I reached for my onboard AI, but all that replied was static until a single line emerged from the noise. "You're not supposed to be here yet." My spine stiffened. Who was talking? Was it a glitch in the system or something deeper? Then I saw it, burned into the edge of my suit's inner visor, coordinates scratched manually by a trembling hand. My hand. Had I done this before? A time loop? A memory implant? Or was I a clone repeating someone else's fate? The black hole pulsed again, and this time I saw light, not from the stars, but from within it, like something was alive inside, breathing, watching, calling. I engaged thrusters, weak as they were, and turned slowly toward the dying light. Each movement felt like pushing through a thick fog of memory, of pain, of worlds I could no longer name. Behind me, the skeletal remains of a vessel, mine, I assumed, spun silently. Its frame warped by radiation, hull torn like a paper shell. I should have died. I think I had died. But I was still here. And something deep in the code of this suit kept me alive for a reason. The whisper returned, stronger this time, feminine and synthetic, yet strangely human. "Starborn, wake up." My eyes widened. That word, Starborn, it lit a fire in the back of my mind. Was it my name, my designation, or a curse? My suit's energy reading suddenly stabilized, systems online. The light inside the black hole flickered once more, and something blinked back. Eyes. I swear to God, boss, it had eyes. I didn't know if I was hallucinating or if the rules of reality had already started to break down. But I knew one thing. That was not just a black hole, it was a gate. And something behind it had been waiting for me for a long time. Maybe I was the last man alive, maybe not. But I was certain of this. I wasn't just meant to survive. I was meant to restart everything. And to do that, I would have to go where no soul had ever returned from. Through the eye of the dead star, into the heart of the forgotten void. This is not a rescue mission. This is resurrection. And I am its weapon. He found the last memory, but it wasn't his. The black hole is not just watching. The gate whispered as I drew closer, its voice not in sound but in memory. A memory that wasn't mine. Commander Kael Solas. That's what the system called me when it fully came back online, as if the suit itself had waited for me to remember who I was. But here's the truth, boss. I didn't. Not really. The name felt like a suit itself, something I could wear, but not trust. A label stitched into a ghost. As I drifted toward the gravitational edge of the black hole, the whisper grew louder. It came not from space, but from inside my head, like a shard of light slicing through the thick fog of whatever I used to be. "Kael, you must not cross until the tether is complete." Tether? What tether? I scanned the suit's interface. Buried beneath static was a series of locked files labeled Project, Starborn, Directive, Reboot, all access denied. I initiated override, voice only. Kael Solas, authorization 7 Delta Sentinel. A chime, then pain. A flood of images slammed into me like collapsing galaxies. A planet drowning in fire, a child behind glass screaming my name, a cathedral of broken stars, and a woman made of light whispering, "You promised." The vision ended with my body lying in this same suit, charred, floating above a sea of time-frozen corpses. Was this my past or my future? Was I even the original Kael Solas anymore? Or something the universe had pieced together from his remains? Systems beeped, a sudden proximity alert. I spun around. A floating satellite had locked onto my signal, one I hadn't seen before, gliding just outside the black hole's reach. Its surface bore the sigil of Earth's lost fleet, a mission that vanished centuries ago. Inside its glass chamber, a pulsing sphere, data core, black box, memory seed, I didn't know, but it pulsed with something alive. "Approach with caution," said the voice in my ear. Same one that called me Kael earlier, but now quieter, older. I maneuvered closer, hand outstretched. My fingers brushed the orb's surface and time stuttered. I wasn't in space anymore. I stood in a corridor of light, glowing walls covered in symbols I almost understood. A woman stood at the end of it, not made of light this time. Flesh, hair, eyes that held centuries. She looked at me like I'd betrayed her. "You told them you could fix everything," she whispered, voice breaking. "You were wrong, Kael, and now you brought the last hope here, to that." She pointed through the corridor window. It showed the black hole, but it wasn't a hole. It was alive, pulsing like a beating heart, and something inside it was waking up. "The reboot you seek. It requires more than code. It demands a sacrifice, a soul, yours." I blinked, and the vision shattered. Back in space, the satellite gone. My HUD showed the orb integrated into the suit. No way to eject it. It had chosen me. Again. Or still. The black hole surged once more. Systems began pulling me toward it, slow and unstoppable. The whisper returned, but this time it wasn't warning me. It was welcoming me. "Come home, Starborn. You've been wandering too long." I checked the tether the voice had mentioned. Still incomplete, still locked, still waiting. But what for? I looked at my hand. Small cracks of light now ran across my fingers. I wasn't just Kael Solas. I was becoming something else. I was becoming the reboot. He entered the black hole to reboot the universe. The tether was still incomplete. The orb fused to my chest, flickered like a heartbeat trying to remember how to beat. The voice had grown silent, like it too was holding its breath. The black hole loomed larger now, not a void, but a living, pulsing eye, an ancient wound in the fabric of everything. My suit's thrusters engaged automatically, overriding manual control. I wasn't being pulled. I was being invited. This wasn't gravity. It was memory. Alive, reaching out. As I passed the event horizon, the stars behind me collapsed into streaks, and light bent until it curled in on itself. The universe disappeared. Time folded like a page in an old book, and I was suddenly aware that I was inside something. The interior of the black hole was not darkness. It was color, endless shifting bands of impossible hues that spoke not to the eyes, but the soul. Shapes moved around me, enormous, slow, patient, like the thoughts of a god trying to form. My HUD glitched violently. The suit's system screamed warnings I couldn't read anymore. The orb embedded in my chest lit up, casting symbols into the space around me, like a projector trying to decode a language lost before existence itself. Then a presence, no body, no voice, just understanding. It filled my mind with fragments. A lost civilization that created the first star, beings who encoded themselves into gravity, a war that erased galaxies to hide one truth, that the universe was not born, it was designed, and then abandoned. I saw Kael Solas, The real one, kneeling before a dying AI council in a golden chamber of shattered time, swearing to reboot the cycle by diving into the core of the last remaining memory engine, this black hole. That was his sacrifice. His soul, bound to the tether, needed to complete the bridge. But something went wrong. His body didn't survive. His memory scattered. And now, that memory had reconstructed itself inside me. I wasn't Kael Solas. I was the echo, the backup, a soul copy wrapped in stardust and desperation. But the system didn't care. It only needed a soul, any soul, willing to jump. The light grew unbearable. And suddenly, I was standing on a surface inside the black hole. Not floating, standing. Beneath my feet, a sea of liquid light, filled with frozen faces, billions of them, human, alien, machine, all looking up, all waiting. I felt them inside me, their lives, their screams, their hope. And then, the final whisper, complete the tether, choose the code, or choose yourself. Two holographic panels appeared before me, one pulsing with green fire, the other dim, flickering red. One would reboot reality, the other would set them all free. I reached out. My fingers hovered between them. Was I Kael, or was I the last man alive? And did it matter? Behind me, the black hole trembled like a living lung. The orb cracked. Light poured into my chest, and I chose both. My hands slammed down. The panels merged, the tether completed. Light exploded outward in a wave that stretched beyond thought. Time fractured, and I fell, not into death, but into creation. I was becoming part of the reboot, not its operator, but its seed. And as the light consumed me, I heard her voice again, not synthetic this time, but real, crying, "Kael, you did it." Then silence, and rebirth, but became something more. Subscribe now. The Starborn will return in episode 2.